have been of the government's handling of the ferry disaster, which so far has killed 187 people. Well, earlier I spoke to the journalist Don Kirk, who's in Seoul, and I asked for further detail around his resignation.
He's sort of become the scapegoat. He had, nothing to do with the accident or the response to the accident. But if there's a scapegoat, why not have the Prime Minister resign? The President, Park Geun-hye, is the one with the real power, and she's going to accept his resignation. When he went down to Jindo, the nearest port to where the ferry went down, he was mobbed more or less by parents of the trapped kids, he was the symbol of government power and the symbol of the slow response. So it's a kind of a ritual gesture he's going through with an apology and a resignation.
He did say earlier that he didn't want it to happen now. So what's forced his hand, so to speak?
I think that they really needed a scapegoat. They've arrested 15 members of the crew, and that's fine. The President, Park Geun-hye, has said that they're criminals and had committed a murderous act. But for a high official of the government to resign is sort of a way of deflecting the rising criticism of the government for the slow response, for a number of failures that were involved in this great tragedy.
He also, I understand, mentioned deep-rooted evils and irregularities in society. What was he referring to exactly there?
That's a very interesting comment. There are a couple of things. There's a lot of corruption among Korean companies, and the owners of the vessel had all kinds of violations on their books. The vessel was overloaded, vastly overloaded in terms of cargo, and there were no safety regulations. There were safety regulations. There were no safety drills and so forth. The crew was incompetent. So, this all reflects much deeper problems, as he's indicating, and many people believe, in Korean society at large.
And there was another minister, a bit of controversy a few days ago when another minister was forced to resign after a bit of a scandal at Jindo dockside.
Right. Well, there have been a couple of resignations. There was one official who wanted to take a group photograph with a bunch of people. I want to have a group photograph of him with a bunch of people showing all the good work they were doing in the recovery effort. He was jeered and sneered at, and he had to resign his job. Yes, there was also a minister who resigned, again, taking responsibility. There's been very lax oversight of shipping, and that has a lot to do with the fact that the ferry was overloaded, also with the failure of the crew to do anything, and with the slow response on the part of authorities in getting to the boat and getting everybody off, which most of them could have gotten off.
Well, how does the recovery operation stand at the moment?
It stands very badly, and it's not because of the fault of the government or the fault of the diving teams. The winds are high and the currents are strong. They've suddenly got a sort of a quasi-storm in those treacherous waters, and the divers cannot get to the boat. They've gone down and they were not able to get into the boat. Some of them were saying that their face masks were being torn off by the strong currents, and also the water's very murky, so it's very hard to see down there. So for all those reasons, temporarily, until the weather lets up, they're not searching right now.
How much longer? Have they given any indication as to how much longer they'll carry on with the search for bodies, and when they'll actually start trying to raise the seawall? Because obviously the bodies remaining in the water is not a good thing for too long.
Right. So far they've recovered 187 bodies. More than 300 people, 302 people to be precise, have gone down with that ship. 174 were rescued. So you do the arithmetic, that leaves a couple hundred more bodies to discover. They're going to get some more bodies off, I feel sure. They're going to go into rooms, large rooms, which were sort of dormitory rooms. They're going to come up with 20, 30, 40 bodies. But at some point in the next few days, maybe within a week, let's say, they've got to raise that boat. They've got large cranes standing by ready to do it. And they can't do it in stormy weather either, by the way, but they will do it. I'm not quite sure when. Let's just say in the next few days. I had thought, frankly, that they would have done it by now.
Don, we saw some pictures earlier of a very respectful procession of those bodies being brought to land. Has the media, have families been happy with how that process has been taking place in terms of identifying the bodies, getting the bodies to the families? How's that been received?
Well, I think that's going okay, but, you know, even though the families, every family member knows they're not going to see their kid again, even though they know that theoretically, the horror of this body coming up in a white body bag and then going to a mortuary where they identify it, they just can't get over that horror. There's no way to soften that blow.
Okay. Don Kirk, thank you very much.